In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to the Scarlets Supporters Premiership podcast. Okay, here we go again then with the Westerer is Besterer podcast. And joining me once again is the main man, Martin. How are you, Mart?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you doing yourself?
Yeah, very good, very good. Have you got a funky name for yourself yet?
No, I've never been good with the nicknames, so I think I'm gonna put my faith with you to figure one out. I think I'm gonna regret it. That's what I'm gonna do.
I asked my daughter, and she said "Fat Man and Blobbing," which I thought was that's just too much for a middle-aged man to go round and Fat Man and Blobbing. Cheers for that, love.
Which one are you?
I didn't ask. I stopped the conversation there, and I went, maybe I'll ask somebody else. So there we go. But so did you make it to the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I got there.
And what did you?
Was a pretty exciting game, all in all, being in the stadium. I mean, obviously, result didn't exactly go our way, but we weren't a million miles off, and it was enjoyable. It was nice, just nice to be there.
I think that the thing for me was the attitude from the players was right, and you could kind of see where last season we would have completely folded. As soon as a couple of tries started going in, you just had that feel. You always had that feeling last season that you never knew whether it was going to be, a 70 points to nil, or whether we were going to compete for 80 minutes. And it just felt on Saturday that the boys competed for the full 80. And, I think we're improving, but I say the result didn't. So on my little list of things from Saturday, I pretty much go referee, and then there were some good things. So was that the feeling inside the ground? What was the feeling about the referee inside the ground?
Yeah, he didn't leave with many friends, if he came with any at all. But no, there was obviously anyone watching the game, whether you're in the stadium at home, there was a few decisions you can't quite wrap your head around, even when you're listening back to what he's saying.
Well, I mean, there's the obvious ones that we'll come to in a minute, but the one for me was Ulster's first try, where the ball is kind of, they're attacking in the line, fair enough, and then the guy that scores, he's kind of held up with the ball over the line, and Herring just comes in from the side, takes out the man beyond the ball with what looks like a shoulder. Just, the camera angle was the wrong side, but it looks like he comes flying in with a shoulder, takes out, I think it was Gareth Davis, but he just completely wipes out Gareth Davis. But Gareth Davis is beyond the player. So there was no way he came in from the back of that ruck, that maul. There's no way. No, he didn't come through the gate. He didn't come from the back. And he took out the player beyond the ball, which resulted in a try. Now, that was their first try, and you just had that. That wasn't even reviewed. That wouldn't even wasn't even looked at. And I just thought, hang on a tick, because I rewound it and replayed it and rewound it and replayed it, and they kind of showed an angle from the other side, but it was shown at full speed, so you couldn't see where he kind of hit. He just kind of spun around. So for me, it wasn't necessarily the referee on Saturday. It was the TMO. And the TMO's job is to review these things and get them right. That's you have one. You don't need to be fit. You don't need to be, in the game. You don't need to be watching 100 different things. And that's the referee's job. Your job is to watch the video and make sure that you're supporting the ref. And I just thought it really let the game down, because we talk about the other bits in a minute, but you just never felt like the Scarlets were getting a fair rub of that game. It just always felt that we were up against 16 players, and but I guess that's why I like the attitude of the players. They stuck with it, really easy.
Well, obviously the ref is always one that you've got to play yourselves, and like you said, where it looked as though he's taking him, not through the gate and that. And yeah, it is the TMO's job to look at things like that, but it's also our players and then our captain's job to get in the ref's ear to make him tell the TMO to have a look at it as well.
Well, Foxy, when he got to the third one, so there was that one, then there was Costello, and then there was the debacle with a kick into the corner, and that's when Foxy starts going nuts. That is when he was giving it large in the referee's ear. But that was 10 minutes from the end of the game, 10, 15 minutes from the end of the game, And, I'm all in favour of knowing when the right time is to ask the question and things like that. But, yeah, for me, it just must be very frustrating. If you're a coach sitting and looking at that video, when you talk about that Costello getting carded, do you tell him to not jump for the ball? The guy was.
As far as I could see it, I would have put that down as a rugby collision and definitely a penalty, because obviously there was contact. But he's running for the ball. He's made the jump early enough, and he's in a position to catch the ball.
Yeah.
So,
but he touched the ball with his right hand. His right hand. The issue was that as his left hand is coming up to catch the ball, the Irish player was in the way, so he couldn't get to that ball. So for me, that's like you said, that's a collision, both competing for the ball. It's unfortunate that the Irish guys landed the way he did, but that wasn't, Costello's. It was because there was contact in the air, but it wasn't a penalty. It just, that's the kind of decision that can ruin careers, the guy's fallen, he's fallen on his back and he's got an injury, but it's a contact sport, it's a collision sport, we're not playing snooker. You've got to have a little bit of, players are going to get injured. And I just thought it was really harsh on Costello, and it did turn the game because they put 2 tries on the board while he was off the pitch. And he was actually, the whole game, other than the 10 minutes he was on the sidelines, he had a really good game, Yeah,
well, he probably was the standout 10 in Wales again. He was last week. And same again this week. But like you said, with the yellow cards, they put 14 points past us in the first one. And the second yellow card, they put 10 points past us. So, 2 yellow cards, 24 points. If you're looking 15v15, we won that game 39-31.
I hadn't thought of that one before. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. That is, yeah, when we were 15-0. Yeah, I just thought the referee ruined that game. It was a really, really good game to watch, but as a Scarlets fan coming off that pitch or coming out of that stadium, you must have just been sitting there going like, what's the point in training for the week when you're going to get penalised and yellow carded for stuff that just shouldn't be there. I mean, that kick to the corner, there were 2 people underneath that ball. There was Corey Baldwin, and then there was a touch judge. And they're both looking up. You can see them both clearly looking up, and straight away, touch judge goes out with the arm and says, that's in goal. That's gone. Corey Baldwin, it's an instant reaction. It's not a calculated reaction to try and persuade the referee. It's an instant reaction. He claps and he goes, yes, and he starts running up. ready for a dropout. Yeah, that's an instant reaction from a genuine player. You can tell when somebody's trying to manipulate the ref with their, oh, referee, what was happening there and all of that rubbish. But that was a genuine reaction where, right, ball's gone dead. He's made a mistake. Lovely jubbly. Off we go. So to overrule him there was wrong. And then the following ruck that they scored from, he got it wrong again. And even the commentators, and Shane Williams has commentated on Premier Sports. I don't think Shane Williams will ever set foot inside Parker Scarlets ever again, because he was criticising the crowd, he was criticising players, didn't have a good word to say about Scarlets even when they scored. So he really went down in my estimate. You don't mind a little bit of banter between Scarlets and Ospreys as a, but that's...
Yeah, but the total bias is another thing, though, isn't it?
And
that is a big problem I've seen with Premier Sports, is their commentators are so blatantly biased one way or the other.
Yeah, and you don't mind it so much if it's the home team, you almost expect that with the home team. But they were biased for a team that wasn't even on the pitch. Both commentators, they were both Osprey supporters having a go at the Scarlets. Not saying well done, Ulster. Don't get me wrong, Ulster played really well. I thought they were a fantastic. The first 10 minutes, I don't think we touched the ball other than kickoff. It was a real, the way they controlled the ball. Yeah. And it was good, but that's what you want. This is a competitive league. This is, the most competitive league. Particularly now with Zebra and Benetton up in their game, it's really, really competitive. Every week, you could win, you could lose, you could get pasted, you could put a pasting out. That's the way this league is now, and it just kind of. They say if Premier Sports sorted the we'll come on to the URC and Gallagher Premiership later, because I've been banging on about this all week. But yeah, Ulster were good. I thought they were really, really good. Competitive game. It was sickening coming out of the end of that game and going, we've got nothing. Got nothing out of that game. There were some good bits. There were some really good bits. I thought our attack, I don't think many people are going to put 5 tries on Ulster this year. Do you know what I mean?
No, there's a big clash on Friday now, Ulster v Leinster at Ravenhill. And that's going to be one hell of a match. And I'm expecting Ulster to do in all honesty.
Yeah, well, Leinster are not playing anywhere near where they have been the last couple of seasons. So fair enough, they had a bonus point last Saturday, but 3 of those tries were line-out drives, and it's pressure, but they're not playing expansive, creative, exciting rugby. And I thought Ulster actually, it was controlled when it was tight, but when it was going out, I thought they did really well. But
yeah, you got to take the previous Leinster result with a pinch of salt as well. We'll come on to it later. But that Benetton side that they beat showed, 7 changes from the week before and 3 positional changes. So it wasn't the same side that done Glasgow 33-11 in the opening week.
I just think that we're in a place now where, Dragons win on Sunday as well, which is fantastic for them. The margins in these games are minuscule now. The difference between winning and losing, well, for us, for the last 2 weeks, the difference between winning and losing has been a referee's decision. First week, Tipuric should have gone, and pretty much everyone admits that. And this week, you could have picked 3, 4, 5 different decisions that really, really cost us. There was nothing. If those decisions had gone with us, we'd have been sitting on top of a bonus point, 15, 20 point win against Ulster. Do you know what I mean?
Potentially,
Yeah, and that's how tight and competitive that game was. And I watched all games from last week. There's no, even the big wins, they're not
blowouts.
Yeah, you're not. Those sides are competing, and there's one or two bits, with something like look at Ulster tries. It's maybe one missed tackle and bang, that's in. Our tries, one missed tackle, one person out of place, and we're in. The attacking this season from all sides has been absolutely bang on. There's, with the exception of possibly the Ospreys haven't looked like scoring massive amounts of tries through the backs.
No, but they were exactly the same last season. They started incredibly slow, and then they sort of picked up in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So it might be looking that might be the Toby Booth way of playing. It takes a while for his attack to bed in.
Yeah, I mean they grind you down. They grind people down, but everyone else is looking at how do we score tries off 7th, 8th, 9th phase. It always used to be, we went through that growth phase of, okay, you can't score off first phase now, so you're looking at 3rd or 4th phase. Now we're looking at, how do you get round a defence on 8th, 9th, 10th phase, and that's how much you've got to wear sides down, and that's how much you've got to look at where you move the ball across the backs. But so who stood out as our superstar for you on Saturday then? Where were our plus points for you?
Plus points, Costello, as you've already said, he was pretty impressive. Johnny Williams held up well again. I was impressed by Johan Nicholas. He put in a hell of a shift, in all fairness. Sam Lousy, cracking game. And I think out of our forwards, Davies was another coming off the bench. He looked impressive yet again.
Yeah, he did. And I think it was quite difficult to choose, someone from the Scarlets that stood out, because I just think everybody put in a real hard shift, Well,
yeah, I just named 5 players. I couldn't pick out just one or two.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It was really difficult to go, like against the Ospreys. There were a couple of players that really stood out, like Johnny Williams, Costello, and Fafita. But yeah, against Ulster, it was genuine. It was the kind of performance that I think we've been wanting to see for a long time, and that's why I don't think I haven't heard massive amount. You get the usual people who sack everyone, start again, all of this kind of crap, but you just kind of ignore them. And I think most people go, and do you know what? Actually, even though it was a hefty defeat, we've seen improvement, and I don't think too many people are disappointed. We're disappointed in the number, in the actual, this is what goes on the scoreboard. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But I think the attitude and the way the boys played on Saturday, I haven't heard anybody complain about a lack of effort or a lack of skill or a lack of ability. It was just, it didn't. There were a couple of bits around the park that didn't quite work for us, and we need to do something about defence, particularly in the first 10 minutes,
Yeah, I think we're running at about 70-80%, which is probably about bang on for the first few weeks of the season. Our defence is a work on, but these first 2 games, I have been impressed. Just their attitude in getting back in line and the organisational side of it, they have been putting that effort in there. And this is Gareth Williams with he's had 4-5 weeks of the boys, if that. So come after the internationals now in December, once he's had a nice big chunk with a lot of the squad, I'm expecting to see a much more hardier defence.
Yeah, and I think that's the bit that you can see the improvement is coming. It's not like we're going backwards anywhere, really. There are bits that are not moving forward, like line out, but there's no way that's getting worse. Do you know what I mean? You won't look at it and go, "Oh, last season we were better at this." It's all been a step forward. That's how I see it, anyway. But
yeah, and I think I'm agreeing with you with it. Yeah, our line out always needs a bit of work. Our scrum seems to be holding very well. Our back line, our attack play, it's always up there. It has been for about 5-6 years, I think now, our back play. And our defence is the major work on. But saying that, with the line outs, we got the Sheriff, Ken Owens, having 40 minutes for the Quins on the weekend. So he might be in line for a bench spot this weekend. But then you've got to ask yourself, are you dropping Elias or are you dropping Davos?
Yeah, and that's the encouraging thing, isn't it? The level of competition within the side at the minute is as good as I've seen it for a long, long time. So that kind of brings me to my next bit about Foxy. And we spoke about Foxy the week before. There's two sides to it. There's Foxy the captain and Foxy the player. So what? How did you see his game on Saturday?
Average, if I'm honest. Didn't really do nothing special. Didn't make any massive errors. But I just don't think he is the right choice for captain. I mean, like I said last week, I've been in love with Foxy as a player for over a decade. But he's just not the right person to be captain at this time. Maybe a few years ago he was, maybe next season or season after if he's still playing. But right now I don't think he's the right choice. I'm not 100% who I'd pick myself. I haven't given it that much thought. But I just know it wouldn't be Foxy right now.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I guess until somebody's put in a position where they've got to captain the side, it's hard to know how they captain the side. And you almost have to put your faith in Dwayne and the coaching team, because they're seeing them every day, they're working them with every day, and they've got a better understanding. But yeah, for me, he just fell off too many tackles, and that was always one of his strengths. He was that rock solid. Yeah. If anything at 13 just wasn't getting through him, and now they are. And I think my gut feeling is he's being given every opportunity to show that he can get back into the Wales side. And I certainly wouldn't. I think 13 is the position, because he's been there for so long. He has been the rock steady, number 13 for Wales for so long, and for the Scarlets, that we haven't developed anybody to take over from him. Do you know what I mean?
Well, when he first came through, we're talking 7-8 years ago now, Steph Hughes, he was the man who was lined up to be Foxy's successor. But he had that terrible ACL injury, and he lost a bit of pace, and he never really, great player, but he never hit his ceiling, which was unfortunate. And now we've got two young prospects in Corey Baldwin and Joe Roberts. But obviously Baldwin is being used on the wing because we're so low in numbers. And I think Roberts has picked up two pretty significant injuries in the last 2-3 years. Yeah. And I know he's out until at least Christmas.
Yeah. And I think that's the struggle now, isn't it? I think we've got quality all the way across the back line. We've not seen Steph Evans so far this year, and I don't know, I haven't seen him on the injury list. So
no, he's all good. I was lucky enough to be in hospitality on the weekend, and he was down the bottom, sat a couple of rows, pretty close to my wife. She was happy, and he seems physically fine. He was doing, obviously, you have your 25-man squad that's there to do the proper warm-up, make sure they are game ready if they need, the extra 2 if they needed. And then there's another 5 to 10 boys who are alongside with him making up numbers. And he was there this week. He was there last week as well. So there's nothing wrong with him as far as I can see, or I've been told.
Yeah. So, yeah, for me, with Steph Evans on the wing and Corey Baldwin at 13, I think Benetton is, like I said before, there is no easy side to, mess around with let's give some boys a run out sort of a thing. That just doesn't exist anymore. So
I think Zebra is the only team you'd even consider doing that against, and that's probably only at home now.
Yeah, well, they should have beaten Leinster the first week, and they had a good crack at it the second week. So, I think at some point we just got to bite that bullet and go. We need to give somebody else a run there, and that's no disrespect to Foxy. I think he's been, heart and soul of the Scarlets for, nearly 20 odd years or whatever it is. But
yeah,
you get to a point and you go, if you don't change him now, is it going to be too late? Do you know what I mean? And somebody needs to have a run. I'd say Joe Roberts was playing out of his skin last year, and you genuinely felt that that's the guy that's going to take over, because he was making breaks, he was solid in defence, his kicking was on point, and you just thought, there's no real weakness to his game. And then he got injured, and with Foxy now, if Foxy was coming into the side playing the way he's playing, you'd be questioning why is he in the side. I think he's there on reputation now, and an entirely just but you just hope that somebody comes through and goes, let's, like I say, I'd put Corey Baldwin there just because he's big enough, strong enough, fast enough. That's my gut feeling. I think he'd be an excellent 13, but I think that's the only area that we look at now and go, we need to improve something. We need to do something there. It's just defence and Foxy. But yeah, that's hard to say though, isn't it? It's hard to say. As a Scarlet supporter, it's taken me probably 2 years to go, oh, maybe he's not what he used to be at international level, but he's still an excellent club player. And now I'm thinking, is he an excellent club player?
I've been toying around with the idea of maybe, like with Wales a couple of years ago, putting Foxy at 12 and shifting maybe Johnny Williams to 13, let him have a crack there.
Yeah, that's enough. And we've also got Scott Williams to come back as well.
Yeah, he plays both, doesn't he?
Yeah, so there are options there. And I say, I just think we need to do something, just before it's too late, because I think you get to it, because it'll start to affect his confidence, and he'll start getting desperate, and he'll start getting yellow cards where he's trying to make tackles that aren't there, and he'll be, do you know what I mean? He'll just get to that stage where you can feel the desperation that he just wants to do the right thing. So, yeah, that's my kind of thing. But the bit that I wrote in my notes was, it's 2 games. It's not the end of the season. It's not the end of the world. We've had 2 games, 2 really, really good games so far. Really, really good games. And, let's not go throwing everything out the pram straight away. Let's get to that stage where actually, I don't know. I don't know where the cutoff is where you start panicking, but it's not after 2 games for me.
No, I think it's never a time for panicking. Panicking is probably the wrong word to use. But I think if it comes after the end of the Cardiff game and we're still looking at ourselves thinking, no, it's going to click, then that's kind of the time to think, okay, we need to change something here, because something is certainly not working.
Yeah.
So I give them Benetton this weekend. It's the first away game, so I'm fully expecting a win, as I do every single week.
Yeah.
But this week, then we got Cardiff coming down the park, and that's probably the time that, if nothing's happening, like that's saying if he selects a similar 15 for the next 2 weeks, That'd probably be the time to think, time to change things up.
When do international players start getting pulled for autumn internationals?
They're missing for the last game against Leinster.
Right, so they'd be there for the Cardiff game, wouldn't they?
Yeah, 100% for the Cardiff game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have a think now how far away we are. Because I know Leinster's something like the 30th or the 29th, something like that. Oh, sorry, 28th. And I think that weekend, the 28th, is when we lose. We don't have any players, so we've still got Benetton, Cardiff, Zebra, and Connacht before we lose them.
Yeah. So you definitely want to take something out of those. Realistically, we should be looking at bonus point wins on all of them. That's where we should be looking at. If you ignore the first two games and you go, we're actually in good shape and we're in a really good position, I'd say we should be looking at bonus point wins. Cardiff, you never know which Cardiff side is going to turn up. Yeah, and I know that's a frustration for Cardiff fans, and we're sitting there going like, that was last season, mate. Try do it, or not last season before, wouldn't it? So try do a whole season of not knowing which of your teams is going to turn up, and whether you go home after 15 minutes or wait until the final whistle. But yeah, that's where Cardiff are at the minute. But there we go.
Yeah, well, the way I've been looking at the last couple of games is the Ospreys game ended on 78 minutes, so we took home all 4 points, and the Ulster game ended on 73, so we came home with 2 bonus points. So
yeah,
that's what I'm looking at there.
That's your fantasy league, is it? That's Martin's fantasy league, and we go on how many minutes in each game we're going to play, where the final whistle is in each game. So let's have a chat about Benetton game then. How do we see that game going?
I think it's going to be a forward battle for the majority of it. The one player I think that they miss most is Monty Ioane, because he's such a live wire whenever he plays, and I think he's their he was their X Factor player. Now, I haven't seen enough of them recently to really say if they've got another player of that type there. But I'm very happy that he's not playing it anymore.
But I think what they've done is it feels like there was almost an over-reliance on him. Let's get the ball to him. Let's get him to do something. And where he's gone, it's now like, right, okay, there's 15 of us on the park. 15 of us need to work our nuts off and actually do something. So I've been quite impressed with them. You've seen a gradual improvement in Benetton over the last couple of seasons, and every prediction of table finish that I've seen, nobody has Benetton down the bottom. Some people are putting Benetton in top 8, which I think is a push. But
I've got that. Where I've done my little predictions, I've done them in blocks of 4s, and I've got them in 9 to 12.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people see them finishing. Which, when you consider where they were 3 or 4 seasons ago, that's bloody good, So in theory, we should be running them off the park, and I think it really does depend on squad rotation and who's available. You look at our injury list. Holy cow, man. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's how many we got there now? So we've got a squad of 35 or 40. I think we've got a squad of 40. Depends where you class the academy group. But over half of them are injured, or nearly half of them are injured. That's just, I don't get it.
We haven't had an update this week, so we're not entirely sure where exactly everybody is. But even looking at the one given for the Ulster game, you're just reading it off and you're thinking, oh, wow.
You're thinking I'm getting a call at some point. I best dust off my boots because we're going to run out of players in the whole of West Wales if we carry on at this rate.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I haven't seen, but then I think all clubs are not all clubs, but most clubs have got a fairly hefty injury list at the minute, and you just got to question why. I don't think the game's increased in physicality or intensity to a great extent. It was always a hard game. It's always going to be a hard game. So what's changing to put that many players on it? Or are we just being too cautious? Are we saying, these players 2 or 3 seasons ago may well have been given a green light to play? Yeah, because we need them on the pitch. And are we now going, actually, player welfare is more important, which is fine, which is fair enough. That's where it needs to be. But yeah, it's just...
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything, because obviously players, as long as it's not major injuries, concussion related, they can sign themselves fit against medical what's the word for it? Against doctors' orders, essentially.
Right.
They are capable. They are allowed to do that, but then it's at the club's discretion.
Okay.
And so that is obviously an individual basis, because I think it was Evan Roos done it towards the back end of last season for Stormers, because he weren't meant to be playing in the URC playoffs, but he signed himself back in, saying, "Look, I want to play. I understand the risks, and it's totally on me." So I honestly think that the training methods are playing a part in it. The intensity of them, when your body is, working at that sort of high intensity for a couple of periods a week, it's making you a little bit more susceptible when you're coming back down, if you know what I mean.
But then, is it as well, with this, you picked this up before about the how much contact time you're allowed to do outside of game time, is that meaning that when players do go into contact, that they're not quite match ready
for it? Yeah, there's that side of it, and all we can really do is go with the medical professionals, which obviously you've got to go with the evidence that you physically see it, but at the same time you've got to take into account basically the entire history of playing rugby. How much does it benefit from you having an hour or 2 hour contact, even if it's not full pelt during the week? How much does that help you on the weekend? Against how much does 15 minutes of all out contact help you for a match? There's got to be that balancing act alongside the medical opinions.
Yeah. I think that's one that's going to run and run, mate. It's going to run and run. And speaking of things that are going to run and run, so this has popped up again about joining the Gallagher Premiership. So let's have a chat about that. This popped up again over the weekend, and obviously there's stuff that has prompted this, but Welsh sides joining the Gallagher Premiership. So, the background to this. The background to this report is that basically there's no evidence of any of this happening in the report, and everyone that is allegedly to have had meetings has gone, I've not got a clue what you're talking about. So there's that. There's the fact that the guy that wrote this report hasn't exactly got a great track record. And then we've got, Wasps and Worcester. And there's a report out today from a slightly more credible source. I think it was in the Telegraph, that there are potentially 2 more sides that will be in this position come the end of the season in the Gallagher Premiership. They didn't say who, but by the end of the season, potentially another 2 sides. So it throws up so many issues for Gallagher Premiership, but I don't think the solution for anybody is a Welsh side joining I think the only people that would benefit from having 2 Welsh sides join the Gallagher Premiership is a WRU, because they'd only have to fund 2 sides instead of 4 sides. and they could significantly reduce the player pool. They would reduce their player outgoings, and they could focus on the things that they like to do best, like pointless bloody corporate stuff for Millennium Stadium, rather than putting the nuts and bolts into the game to secure sides. So I can rant on this all day. Yeah. Like seriously, I was talking to my wife about this. I was saying stuff whilst my wife was in the room. And after about 20 minutes, she turned to me and said, "Are you still talking? Because I genuinely switched off about a quarter of an hour ago." So
that's how it goes.
So what's your thoughts on it, mate?
My thoughts may be opposite to a lot of people's. I want to see it happen, but I don't want to see the Scarlets, Ospreys, Dragons, or Cardiff leave the URC. I want to see two clubs. I want to see probably Pontypridd and another take those spots and let the English Premiership rugby fund them through all the monies that they get, because I think we can do it. I think with the money that's in the Gallagher Premiership, and in the short term, I think a couple loan players and some academy boys from the regions, I think it can be done.
So maybe a combined Valleys side and RGC sort of thing, with using players from under 20s and, like you say, in academies as development sides. This was an idea. Yeah, there was an idea mooted around before the start of the season, only about Worcester, because it was at the start of the season, everybody knew Worcester was in trouble, and that was like 2-3 weeks before the start of the season when something should have actually been done. And there was this idea of, why don't the WRU buy Worcester and use it as effectively, the development squad, a Wales A squad, if you like.
Use it as something else.
Yeah, and it was, it was an idea that was mooted around on social media and on podcasts and on various other places, but it kind of didn't really. It's one of those ideas it's nice, but you look at the practicalities of it and then you go, that's not going to happen. So
there's too much debt in there for that to happen. It's over 25 million from just little snippets that I've read, and that's just way too much. Plus, you've got to look at the land around Six Ways, which, from again, the few snippets I've read, is the current owners have taken out of Worcester's name and put into their own.
Yeah.
So all those legalities you'd have to look at.
Well, see, I think this is the problem with the Gallagher Premiership. Okay, so bear with, okay, strap in, because here we go, take off, right? So first off, you have to buy into the Premiership Management Board. Okay, I can't remember what it's actually called, but you have to buy into that. So right now on Worcester's balance sheet will be X amount of shares in the management board. So when Ealing Trailfinders should have come up this year, and they were told that you need to buy in and you need to have 5 million in ready cash to buy into the Premiership board. Okay, so if we're going to put a side in there, it's going to cost us 5 million, right, as a starter. That 5 million, if you've got 5 million spare, use it to grow your supporters, use it to grow your base. Go on. You're trying to say something. Go on.
That's if we want to go in, not if they want us in. There's going to be some sort of negotiation involved with that, because if they need us, it's not going to be that full 5 million. It might be over a time period, but it's not going to be instant.
Well, this again is part of the structure of the way the Gallagher Premiership is managed. Yeah, so URC is managed effectively by the boards, WRU, SRU, IRB. Yeah, it's managed by the boards of the countries that are involved. Yeah, Gallagher Premiership isn't. The WRU is one seat on that board, and the rest of it is the clubs that are involved. Yeah. So when the WRU says, and this came out before the season as well, where they were talking about the salary cap So the salary cap, the big clubs, so Saracens, Harlequins, who was the other ones? Northampton, I think. Absolutely don't want the salary cap. Should be able to spend whatever because they've got big backers. Their businesses are based on, we've got more money than you, so we're going to buy all the best players and we're going to keep those best players in our squad so you can't have them, and we'll just keep funding that until we win the European Cup. That's not, it's a toy for people who've got too much money, and that's what the salary cap is there. So the salary cap, I thought it was next season. It's not now. It's the season after next. That was a compromise. The salary cap goes back up by 2 million in England. Yeah. So straight away.
Yeah, the extra one.
Say again.
Do they get to keep that marquee player aspect of the salary cap? Because I know they've dropped one marquee player.
Yeah. I don't know the details of it. It was just that headline figure that I was looking at, that the actual salary cap has gone back up by, it's just over 2 million or whatever. So if Welsh sides now go into the Gallagher Premiership, not only have you got to find money for the bond, right, but your player inflation goes through the roof because you're now in a different competitive league, yeah, with more people, with more money, and part of that restriction of being, the protection, if you like, that you get in the URC from being run by the WRU, then goes when you go into the Gallagher Premiership, because you cannot have WRU sides being controlled the same way. So you then, WRU then removes the funding for those players. So you have to then replace the funding for your international players, and you then have to compete with sides that are being bankrolled by millionaires. Unless we can find a millionaire to come in and go, oh yeah, I fancy a bit of a play with the Scarlets. Here we go. Here's 25 million. Off you go. That's not going to happen, So we have to think about it in the terms of actually what's best for the club in the long run. What's best for the Scarlets in the long run. Joining. The bit that people keep throwing back is, wouldn't it be great to have Bath come down and Exeter come down? Actually, no. So somebody said to me the other day, last time Bath came to Stradey Park, the place was absolutely bouncing. Stradey Park was just about 10,000 capacity. Yeah. Park of Scarlets is 14.8, so nearly 25% larger than Stradey. Yeah.
Yeah, plus you can have, I think it's about an extra 1,000 they can fit in with temporary seating and stuff as well.
Yeah. So you look at that and you go, right, okay, so, the Park of Scarlets may not be full for every game at the minute, but we're still pretty much, at a better level than where we played Bath at Stradey. And the reason that more people wanted to go and see Bath at Stradey Park was because it was a special game. It was the equivalent of the European Cup now. Yeah. Now, you've been there for European Cup matches. I've been there for European Cup matches. That place is absolutely on fire for European Cups. Yeah. And even the European Cups where that we're not really, it's you're praying for a downpour and a dodgy ref and and a little bit of luck, and we might get away with it. Even on those nights, the place is bouncing, and that's what has replaced those games against Bath and Bristol. Games against, when we used to play games against Bristol weren't the side they are now. They were crap games. So I think people have got these kind of rose-tinted glasses about how it used to be, because they were good games, they were enjoyable games. They'd usually play at Christmas and at Easter, but they were special one-offs, and that's why people went to attend them. If that's every week, it's not going to replace what you'd lose with the URC. Yeah. What you lose with the URC, this is what I'm telling you about when my wife switches off. So what you lose.
I'm not dropping asleep tonight.
Yeah, it's just like I'm going. I'm really aware of how much I'm talking, because it's usually at this bit somebody will go, Lee, shut it, man. Okay, enough.
We need to get a sign to put that time to shut up.
Yeah. But I think the key bit for me, and this is something that I said in pre-season, that this is something to talk about. URC viewing figures last year, 34 million. Yeah. Gallagher Premiership viewing figures last year, 14 million. Yeah. It's twice the size. The URC, when you put together people in the ground and people on television, it's twice the size. Now, last year was the first season that we saw that coming in with the South African sides and things like this. Yeah. This season, we've now got the distribution in America as well. Yeah. So we're now going to go up from that again. You're starting to see some really big international companies coming in as sponsors. Yeah. You want to know why Sale has lost all its South African players? Because they've gone home. Why have they gone home? Because South African sides can now compete. South African sides can now compete with the salaries from those English sides. Yeah, you look at how many players in England are now leaving to go to France, South Africa, America, Japan. When they set up the Gallagher Premiership, the idea was this is going to be the best league in the world. Everybody will come to us. Yeah. And everyone else has gone, actually, we can do this better. When America gets its shit together, oh my God, they're going to, just on television viewing, they are going to rip the rest of the world apart. They may not do it in a World Cup and on the world stage, but in terms of can they produce something on television that people will want to watch? Absolutely. So you've got all these things that people talk, the Gallagher Premiership is just a marketing exercise. That's all it is. It's a marketing exercise with big people running big clubs that want to suck the money from smaller clubs. And if we went into the Gallagher Premiership, all we would be doing is finding a way to funnel our money into those big clubs and make those big clubs bigger and better and more. Well, they're not profitable. They need multimillionaires to make them viable. So for me, if just go back to that 5 million bond, if you've got 5 million to go and invest into buying into the Gallagher Premiership, take that 5 million and invest that in marketing the game in Wales and doing something to get people to the ground. If Parker Scarlets was full every week, like it is in Leinster and Ulster, if that ground was full every week just with home support, Gallagher Premiership wouldn't even be an option. It wouldn't be, you know what, we need a bigger ground, or we need, it would be a completely different way of looking at it. So if we're going to go and spend money on the game, that's where we need to spend money. Marketing that game, growing the player base at grassroots level, and particularly the bit in between grassroots and senior level, which for me is colleges. That's where we need to be spending the money. I think once the effect of the South African sides and the effect of the American deal come through, we'll start to go, okay, yeah, we have got money. And the danger is if we spend that all on players instead of developing players and developing a fan base. Yeah. If we're going to spend it on anything in Wales, we need to spend it on something that's going to benefit Welsh players and Welsh supporters, and not on a vanity project in England. And somebody said to me the other day on Twitter, avoid Twitter. Oh my God, avoid Twitter. Just put one tweet out, switch it off, put it in your pocket, don't go back. So think about all the retail sales that we'll get. Think about the club shop when we're playing against Bath. Well, what, somebody from Bath is going to come down and buy a Scarlets shirt because they're playing against her? How does that work?
Can I just say, that person obviously hasn't been to the Scarlets club shop in the last few weeks. There is literally the home kit, the away kit, the third kit, and a couple of other things scattered. there's no £10 and under, little key rings, little things, you put for the kids. No blankets, no scarves. It is bare there other than the kits. And a lot of people don't tend to buy the kits at this point in the season. They wait till around Easter time where they knock 10, 20 quid off there.
Or Christmas presents, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, there is nothing for Christmas presents. There's no like mugs and coasters with Scarlets on. There's no pajamas. Nothing like that at all.
But this goes back into the marketing of the game. URC are not marketing themselves in Wales. WRU Scarlets are not marketing themselves around here. Do you know what I mean? There's massive, massive potential. We should be filling that stadium every single week. And this Gallagher Premiership thing shouldn't even be a conversation, but we need to put people in place within the Scarlets, within the URC, within the WRU that will go actually investing in the lower end of the game. Takes a bit longer to get, the through flow, but you invest in the core of the game, the base of the game, and then you can build things on top. Right now, we're trying to build a pyramid on top of sand instead of putting the cement in and going into the Gallagher Premiership. That's like trying to build a hotel on top of the pyramid on top in Cardiff. Yeah, but you're trying to build something without the solid foundations in place. So that's my bit done, mate. I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, it's just like you said, if you look at an infrastructure project, you're talking 15, 20 years before you see results.
Yeah.
And I'm with you 100%. I think the colleges and universities are a massive gap in Welsh rugby, especially development, because we've got Cardiff Met in the Bucks League. I think Swansea might be in one as well, but that's about it.
I think we've got Cardiff, Swansea, and both of the Cardiff universities are in the Bucks League and Swansea, but and I think Cardiff Met always does really, really well. But we're a country of 3 million people. We should be producing more of our own players. We should be producing enough players and enough supporters every week to fill every single ground. But
yeah, well, like you said, we're struggling with the marketing at the minute. Do you get the emails from the Scarlets for the games?
Yeah.
At all?
Yeah.
Have you noticed the first two games, there's been errors on the little posters that they send out on emails?
Yeah.
I think the Ospreys one was the wrong month.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, once fair enough, things can be missed, blah, blah, blah. But, 2 weeks on a bounce, someone's not looking at what they're doing.
And also, when you go through to, so I tried to book a ticket off the link, didn't work.
Oh, don't.
And then you try to reset your passwords, and we'll send you a link. That's not working. So then I've got to create a new email in order to buy a ticket. And I'm doing it at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Ticket office is open till 5, and I've got no problem with the ticket office. It's got to close at some point. But if you're going to close at 5, give me another way of purchasing it between 5 and 8 o'clock the next morning that actually works. So these are
the unsociable hours aspect of buying a ticket, because I know 9 to 5 isn't a major thing anymore, but it is still the majority of people. You need to have those either a couple hours earlier or a couple hours after to give people the options of physically phoning up and saying, look, I can't buy a bloody ticket online. Can you sort it for me?
Yeah. Or just get the move towards buying stuff online now. I do pretty much all my shopping, or I buy my tickets online, I'll buy my shirts online, I'll buy all the get the bloody thing to work. And that's how you solve the problem with Welsh rugby. That's where you invest the money, not by going on to some fantasy kind of, this is what it was like in the 1980s when we were amazing. It's not going to work. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Right, let's move on. Let's move on to local rugby, mate. Let's move on to local rugby. So, what did you make of the results from last week? What did you think?
I'll be honest. It was decent enough week. You know, Narberth win away in Bedwas, much better. You know, a win down there this season, better than last year. You know, we can see progress growing. Crymych are doing awesome. I think they're on a 3-match win streak now. Is it?
Yeah, they haven't lost this year. Yeah. They're second in the table.
A couple other promising results. You know, Pembroke stood up well to Whitland. You know, I think this is the first game Whitland have actually turned up and played. You know, Aberystwyth, you know, we're unlucky. Fishguard Tenby was apparently a pretty cracking game from what I've heard.
Yeah.
And one thing I've got to say for Fishguard Tenby and Milford Haven is that league has just been blown wide open. Last season's champions and runners-up have both lost this weekend.
Yeah.
And they were undefeated last year except for against each other. So I think that league has been blown wide open and it's there for the taking.
Yeah. If somebody can put a decent run of games together, you know, 4 or 5, you start to build up momentum then, and you're defending a lead rather than attacking it. And defending it is a lot easier. So yeah, the game that stood out for me was Larne. A totally unexpected victory, and you know, fair dues to them. And get this, we have a match report. We have a match report from last weekend. So this is from Adam at St David's. Now we love St David's. Just because the attitude, everyone loves going to St David's because it's in the middle of nowhere and it's a proper session. So,
it's not the middle of nowhere; it's the end of nowhere.
The end of nowhere. So, Adam's report: a phenomenal game of rugby played in St David's on Saturday. It had the works. It had good tries, yellow cards, and a 30-man bust-up. Now, even on that bit there, yeah, that's a game you want to see because you don't see the 30-man bust-ups anymore. So, well, you don't see them on telly anymore. So St David's fought back from 10-0 down, missed a penalty on the last play of the game that could have won the game when the wind blew the ball off the kicking tee. I mean, how St David's is that? It's the wind blowing the tee off. But so there were tries from Nathan Foster. Now, we'll have to discuss this bit, yeah? So the report says, try from Captain Nathan Foster. So I think that just means he was a club captain. I don't think he's like RAF or anything. And then extras from brother Aaron Foster. Now, I don't think he's a monk. I just think that's a relationship thing. But man of the match...
You're reading too much into this,
man of the match was sent Ben Joyce. I said, fair dues. Cardigan put in a cracking performance. It was an outstanding game, you know, which is great. So a big thank you to Adam for that, because that's just what we want. Is we want the whole purpose of what we're doing is try to engage with local clubs and really, you know, when we were talking about marketing just now, is to give another avenue for local clubs to talk about their game and tell us who did well and who didn't, and you know, let's see some. Yeah. Well, we have got, you know, so you've got the stats and all of that. Somebody in America listened to us last week.
No way.
Yeah, and somebody in France, and I don't even speak French. So
did the Frenchman understand us, or was he just trying to, you know, get his kid to sleep?
I haven't got a clue. But yeah, somebody in America and somebody in France. So yeah, crack on, boys. That's the way to go. But yeah, so I thought there was a lot of good stuff going out last week. So before we have a look at the games for this weekend, yeah, there's one result from last week. So I keep forgetting to put this in because it's midweek, and it's the college game. So
yeah.
Where we were talking about, you know, to how to invest in your local sides and this, that, and the other. So Pembrokeshire College. We've spoken to Aled at Pembrokeshire College, and we know the work that needs to be done, and we know the work that is going on there. And Aled's an absolute cracking guy to have. If you're going to put some effort in, Aled's the guy that you want there, yeah. But to put it into perspective, yeah. So they went away to Cardiff and Vale, Cavac, which, if any of you know Cardiff city centre, if you come out of the train station and you walk across the train station car park and you get to like the British Gas building, there's a set of traffic lights there. And instead of walking to the left, which is where the bus for the park and ride is, if you cross the road and walk about 2 minutes down that road, you get to Cavac. So it's when you say it's centre of Cardiff, it is literally centre of Cardiff. And it's all mod cons. It's an indoor training facility, an indoor and an outdoor training pitch. So they've got 2 pitches, both recently laid. They're all floodlit. They've got 2 different gyms, and these are high-end gyms. They're entire. So if you're in the college rugby setup, their day is based around rugby. So when you fit in training, when you do your weights, all of this kind of stuff, you then get your education section as well, all enclosed in there. And we're talking about, international players are involved in that setup. This isn't something that you just throw together. It takes a lot of investment over a long time. And I'm not surprised that our boys are getting a Tonkin up there. We haven't even got
if you look in the college leagues, there's only 3 sides that ever have a chance of winning. And that's always Coleg y Cymoedd, Coleg Sir and Cardiff and Vale. Yeah. You know that it doesn't matter how many games, where they're going. It's going to be one of those 3 that's going to come out on top at the end of the season. We all know that.
And it's because they've got that level of investment put in them. And this is where I go back to, we were talking about Gallagher Premiership and that missing bit in the middle. When you do go and look at colleges in England, and I've looked at a couple, that standard is pretty much across all of them. That is the standard. And I think that's where we're missing. So if you are one of the college boys listening, don't take last week as, that score isn't reflecting the effort that you're putting in, and it will get better. It takes a bit of effort, it takes a bit of work, and you just got to find a different way of doing it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we can find a way of getting the investment into Pembrokeshire College that is needed to bring it up to a decent standard. So
yeah, it would be nice if all the boys in the Scarlets Academy were based in Pembrokeshire would go to that college. But I think you might know one who's decided not to go there.
Yeah, well, my boy is in Hartbury. I know most of the boys that were in Pembrokeshire College from Scarlets Academy are now in Coleg Sir. They tried to get my boy to go to Coleg Sir. They tried to get him to go to Llandovery, and they just didn't suit him. So, and here's the key bit. What didn't suit him with Coleg Sir was the travelling. It was from where we are, it's still an hour back and forth each day. An hour there, an hour back, and then doing your training. And we said, well, what about accommodation on site? He said, no, we haven't got any. All of the English colleges have got accommodation on site. Well,
there's none in no accommodation in Sir at all.
No.
Right.
And that's where they're missing if you're North Wales, your only option is go to somewhere in North Wales. Yeah.
You're looking at Sedra, however it's pronounced. I think that's the closest one up here.
Yeah. So we're missing out whole swathes of the country because we haven't got something as simple as accommodation blocks in our colleges. Anyway, we digress. We'll come on to that at Christmas. We'll do a Christmas special over how to solve the problems of the world. Right. Let's quickly rattle through this, right? So games this weekend. Narberth away in Neath.
Big game again.
Huge game.
Like
huge.
I'm really enjoying Narberth this season. I haven't been to watch them, but I'm just seeing the results, looking at the teams around them. I'm really enjoying it. Like going down to the Knoll is an experience for anyone, and I'd recommend it for everyone who's never been there with Narberth. Phone the club, get a supporters bus, and get down there because it's going to be awesome. I mean, Neath have got the same record as Narberth going into this game. They've won 2 and they've lost 1. Even though I am expecting Neath to come out on top at the end, it's going to be a cracker. I am really, and by the end, not the end of this week, but 2 weeks' time is cup time for the championship, and Narberth have got Pontypool, so I think. In the opening 6 weeks, they'll be playing the big three from their league: Bargoed, Neath, and Pontypool, and it gets me buzzing. It gets my blood boiling. I'm loving it. I wish I lived closer right now because I just love to be there.
Well, there is something on the Narberth Facebook page about there's a hospitality package available for the Neath game, where you can go before and there's a meal and hosted by Lynn Jones as well. So worth having a look at their Facebook page and doing that. I'm with you, mate. I'd love to see Narberth take them. I really, really would. The weather is due to be horrendous on Friday and a little bit iffy on Saturday, so that might kind of even things up a little. But I think Neath will be too strong, but this would really give Narberth a good idea of where they are in terms of, where are they going to be at the end of the season. So, yeah.
If I can put it into a bit of context, Narberth beat Bedwas 27-26 this weekend. Neath beat them the week before 37-7. So...
You've got to bring it down now, man.
There is still a gap. There is still a gap there.
Yeah.
But I think it's closing.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I'm really hopeful.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Aberystwyth at home to go sign on. What's your thoughts?
I'm thinking Aberystwyth. Just they were really unlucky against Newcastle Emlyn, single score game.
And it was Newcastle Emlyn, wasn't it? It's always an iffy game against Newcastle Emlyn, regardless.
Yeah. I'm hoping the travelling again up to Aberystwyth is going to be in their favour.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've gone Aberystwyth as well on that, and then I've gone Crymych to beat Felinfoel at home.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah,
bang on Crymych. They're going for the title.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Smashing players when they come up against them, we're sorted.
Another tough game for Pembroke away in Llanelli Wanderers. I think every game's a tough game for Pembroke this season, but away to Llanelli Wanderers, I've gone Llanelli on that one. I don't want to, but I think
I'm exactly the same. Unfortunately Pembroke haven't picked up a win at all so far this season, and Wanderers. The ground is literally a stone's throw from my house, so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to steal over. I might be able to do my own match report. I'm not going to say 100% I'm going to do it, but I'm hoping I can.
Cool. Whitland are at home to Llangennech.
I'm going Llangennech.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't seen enough from Whitland this season.
No. Moving down into Division 2 then, Whitland away to Nancaredig. So Milford, Pontebarum couldn't raise a side last week. So, they're still fresh. Nancaredig have been playing well the last couple of seasons. What's your thoughts?
I'm going Nancaredig. As much as I'd like to say Milford Ave, and again, they haven't picked up a win yet, and they're going away against a team that's performing reasonably well.
Yeah, me too. I got the same. Fishguard away to Pontebarum.
If there's a side, I'm going with Fishguard.
Yeah, I think they're on a bit of a roll. Shush had another try again last weekend, leaving it late, last couple of minutes in the game to beat Tenby, I think.
Really?
But I think so. I think that was the report.
Why isn't Shush giving us a match report?
Because
he's best friends,
He's a lightweight and he's still recovering, but this time of the week. Tenby away to Lucha.
Tenby are away, are they?
I've got Tenby as away to Locher. Have I got it the wrong way around?
I've got Tenby home. I don't know which one of us is right.
Oh, crikey. Okay, Tenby are playing Locher. Who
Well, it depends. If it's on the dark side, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle. But if it's at home, Tenby, 100%.
Yeah, I got some stories from playing Locher away, and none of them are nice. But...
No, I got a story from less than 2 years ago of my boys under 17 playing there, and it's not nice.
Yeah. Okay, so Division 3, Cardigan at home to Larne.
Again, I'd like to say Cardigan, but back of a good win for Larne, and it's got to be Larne.
Yeah, I've gone Larne as well, and Cardigan used to be such a strong side, like so many of the sides in West Wales. They used to be one of the big main sides. Like Whitland. Cardigan always used to be, bang up there. So, yeah, looking at it, and I've gone the same, man. I've gone Larne, and I'm thinking, when I remember growing up and just thinking Cardigan were, unbeatable. But there we go. That's life. Haverfordwest at home to Aberaeron. That's going to be a toughie, this one.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Haverfordwest. I really am. They just again. I know we haven't been going to these games, but just looking at the results, they don't seem to be the same side from last season.
Yeah, but then Aberaeron have started the season well. But I think that's going to be a bit of a humdinger of a match. I think that's going to be a belter, that one. But I've gone for Haverfordwest. Yeah. Neyland away to Lampeter. I think the key bit there is away. It's in Lampeter. Yeah. But I've gone for Neyland. But again...
I'm going Lampeter.
Yeah, it's such a long journey. And it's a difficult pitch to play on. I don't know why. It's a lovely pitch. It's lovely and flat. But it just seems to be one of those places that you just always struggle. I've gone for Neyland, but yeah, on reflection, it probably.
No, you've gone for Neyland.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Neyland, but I think that I might be wrong.
Yeah, we've been more or less picking the exact same team all the way. There needs to be one match.
Yeah, there needs to be something, doesn't there? Okay, Langham at home against Tregaron.
I'm an optimist, Langham.
Yeah, me too. I full respect to Langham for getting the side out. I know it was a bit of a kick-in against the Quins, but let's say I got so much respect for Langham just actually being able to produce a side and compete at any level. So yeah, fingers crossed, a home win against Tregaron. St David's away in Llanybydder.
Hey. They drew this weekend.
Yeah.
When we go up, let's go for a win. St David's.
Yeah, I've gone the same. I just think that bit of we're coming off a game that you should have won. Training this week will be a bit bouncy. It'll be interesting. So yeah, fingers crossed St David's to win there as well. And then last game then is St Clair's at home against Pembrokeshire Quins. Where you going with that?
It's got to stick with St Clair's. They're just looking too strong.
Yeah, but I've gone the other way. I've picked the Quins off that one just because they're coming off a big win last week, and just the feeling in the club is quite good. Young team. St Clair's pitch is where I played my very, very first game of rugby when I was 10 years old. We played St Clair's away in the old school. So, I remember the game well, mate. But yeah, I think the Quins might just nick that one. I think it'll be a close game, a tight game, and I think the Quins might just nick that one with a bit of luck.
It is going to be a cracker, I reckon. They both seem to be putting pretty high scores in.
Yeah.
So we're probably looking at 55-54, something like that.
Fingers crossed. So yeah, that's our wrap up of the weekend ahead. And so if anybody does fancy doing a game report, a match report. I know a couple of people have been in touch and said, yeah, I'd love to do one, this, that, and the other. You can either do it off our Facebook page, or you can leave us a message on our podcast page, which is Anchor.fm, and then something after that, which I'll post later. It'll be on our Facebook page, which is Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire. So lots of ways of getting in touch. And guys, please do, keep sending us in your match reports. We love reading your match reports. Nothing beats a fan's view of the game, and that's what this is. It's a fan's view of the game. We're not professionals. We're not,
Whoa, speak for yourself.
we're not radio DJs. We're not retired international players. We're fans, same as everybody else, and we want to hear your voices, guys. So yeah, please do.
It doesn't just have to be match reports. If you've got a question, if you've got a comment, just send anything in. We'll play anything within reason.
Yeah, I said that then, but I tried that last week, and it crashed the whole thing. There's meant to be a voice thing where somebody can leave a voice comment, and I tried that last week and it crashed the whole thing. So I need to work out what that is. I got a way around it. If somebody wants to send us in a voice message, I just record it onto my phone and then play my phone back over the thing. But yeah, please do, guys, send us in your match reports, because let's say nothing beats a spectator's view of the game, a proper fan's view of the game, and nothing beats a fan's view of the game from the clubhouse at about 9 o'clock after you've had a shed full. That's the one I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for somebody to send that one in, because that's going to be hilarious. But there we go, mate. There we go. Right, we're done for another week, Mark. We're done for another week. Fingers crossed we can have a bit more of a positive conversation about the Scarlets next week, and we'll have a good run through everything else. And yeah, I'll see you then, mate.
Yeah. Same old.
Cool.
Let's hope I can make it on the first attempt next week.
I'll catch you next week.
It's well bad.
You have been listening to the Westerer is Besterer podcast from the Scarlet Supporters Pems team. You can follow us on Twitter on Scarlet Pems, find us on Facebook with Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire, or email us on scarletspems@gmail.com. And remember, West is best, but Westerer is Besterer. Cheers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.